Hello and welcome back to the Love Zone. I'm your host, Lurleen, and I'm here with my co-host, motivational speaker, award-winning motivational speaker, Golden Mike champ, and urban legend, Ace Got Talk.
Greetings in the name of His Imperial Majesty, Ace Got Talk. All praise due to the Most High. How you doing, gorgeous?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm absolutely fantastic. How was your week?
Interesting week. Yes, very interesting week. Lots going on.
Brilliant. They say two is company, but three is definitely not a crowd. Joining us in the studio is the beautiful Nicola Carter. How you doing, Trouble?
I am very well. Nice to be back again.
Brilliant.
How are you?
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. And I know last week's show, we kind of left it on a cliffhanger, right? I mean, the topic was
polygamy.
Mm-hmm. We identified what polygamy was. What is polygamy?
When you are married to more than one spouse.
And that works either way: a man married to more than one woman, or a woman married to more than one man.
Correct.
We then started to break it down.
Mm-hmm.
So we looked at polygamy,
mm-hmm.
which is when a man is married to more than one wife.
Correct.
I believe we read an article from the Independent newspaper
mm-hmm.
that highlighted some of the reasons why polygamy exists and why some societies choose to adopt that type of relationship structure.
Mm-hmm.
And then towards the end of the show, we started to turn things around and look at polyandry mm-hmm. and look at things the other way around. Like, say, okay, how does it look the other way if a woman was to marry more than one man? And I think we ran out of time, so I think we left it on practical solutions, looking at the practicalities of polyandry, which is a woman having more than one husband. So we're going to pick up the show tonight where we left off, but before that, as usual, we've been inundated this week with relationship dilemmas, haven't we?
Mm-hmm. We have, and we have one to read out.
Brilliant. And if anybody wants to get in touch with us,
yes,
right, and tell us their relationship dilemmas, where can they find us?
They can send us an email to askus@the-lovezone.co.uk.
Brilliant. Once more time on the email address, that is
askus@the-lovezone.co.uk.
Brilliant. And as always, Lurleen is our resident counsellor. Although the advice we're giving out on tonight's show is not counselling, guys, if any of you do have any, counselling queries, or you'd like to speak to a professional counsellor, don't forget we offer a free national counselling service. So that means no matter where you are in the UK, yeah, if you get in touch with us on the details that's rolling across the bottom of the screen, you can send us an email to info@realtalkradio.co.uk and we can get you a free counsellor on the telephone, guys. So if anyone's suffering from any type of relationship trauma, whether that be bereavement, or any of the other types of trauma that is associated with, a traumatic relationship, give us a call, guys. We're here to help. On with tonight's show. Once again, thanks to everybody that's been sending in all your video clips, man. Really shout out to all the guys, and we're going to, as usual, endeavor to get through as many of those clips. So we've got 2 clips from last week, which we would still want to play in relation to polyandry, and we've got some really exciting new clips that hopefully, if we get enough time, we'll get through those clips today as well. But as usual, we're going to start off by reading out your relationship dilemma. So this week's relationship dilemma comes from
Claire.
Shout out to Claire.
And she says, "Hi, Ace and Lurleen. Any advice? My boyfriend has expressed an interest in seeing other women, but does not want to end our relationship. I think I might be okay with it, but I'm unsure how I will feel emotionally. This is making me anxious to open the relationship to other individuals. As he's suggesting, I see other men too. I do love and care for my boyfriend, and we have been happy together in a monogamous relationship for the last 4 years. Thanks, Claire.
Brilliant. So just so I'm understanding this relationship dilemma properly, Claire is in a monogamous relationship with her boyfriend for the last 4 years.
Correct.
And her boyfriend now wants to start seeing other women.
Mm-hmm.
And he's suggesting that she should also possibly start sleeping with other men.
Mm-hmm.
But Claire herself isn't really comfortable.
She says she's feeling anxious because she doesn't know how she will feel emotionally. He says he doesn't want to end their relationship. Yeah.
See, if the cap fits, let them wear it. Now, it's not a one size fits all. So we have to give advice on these matters based on these circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so in this particular set of circumstances, you've got a monogamous relationship for 4 years, whereby one party now wants to start experimenting sexually with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about, I think we spoke about things like swinging and couples that might be in a monogamous relationship but want to share that experience together. That changes the dynamics.
Yes.
But when you've got a couple that have been in a monogamous relationship, then one party wants to go out and start to have sexual experiences without the other party involved. I can understand why Claire is not sure how she will feel emotionally. We always talk about communication being the most important part of a relationship. And I would advise Claire that she needs to sit down and really express her feelings to her partner of how she feels. But also be prepared that if the partner doesn't necessarily feel the same way, it might be time to part company. And it's the hardest thing to do, but I think self-worth is very important. And sometimes what people do when they're in relationships, because they love somebody and they've got a lot of feelings for somebody, they can often compromise their own happiness just to continue to be with that person. And this is where you move into very dangerous grounds emotionally. So in order to protect Claire's own feelings, I think she needs to be clear about what she wants. So if Claire's happy for her partner to go off and sleep with other women, then each to their own. But if deep down inside Claire feels like it's something she's not comfortable with, I think she should express those feelings to her partner. And if her partner says, well, that's fine, but I still want to go off and, do my thing, so to speak, I think maybe it's time for that relationship to end. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I want to just go back to the point about self-worth. I think self-worth is very important in every relationship. And you as an individual have to determine, how much am I worth? What am I prepared to put up with? What am I prepared to tolerate? What am I prepared to accept? And your self-worth should never, you should never judge your own self-worth based on other people's standards or expectations of you. So in the situation of Claire, if she believes that her self-worth is that I'm a queen, I'm a princess, and I'm enough. One man should feel satisfied. I should be his all. And if he doesn't feel fulfilled with me as a person, then let him go and find somebody who will accept you for who you are. Because as they say, Claire, one man's trash is another man's treasure. Ace Got Talk. I'll say it again. As they say, Claire, one man's trash is another man's treasure. So self-worth is very important in this situation. And it's all about Claire determining what is she prepared to put up with. And once she has decided what she's prepared to put up with, express that to her partner. Well, that's fine, but this is the, you know, and I think it's quite sad because they've been together for 4 years. So, you know, that's a significant time, you know. So, like I said, if the partner wants to go off and another thing what I picked up in that whole thing, and this is why I'm giving the advice the way I'm giving it up. The partner also didn't just say he wanted to sleep with other women, but he suggested that Claire goes out and starts having a few sexual relationships of her own. Now, to me, that is quite concerning because I'm a lover. You know, I'm a lover, not a fighter. And I love to love a woman, you know, and there's nothing more for me than you got your woman and you're like, yo, this is my baby, my princess, you know, and you're hugging and you're pampering and you're being attentive and all of these things. And as a man, we talked a few weeks about jealousy, and we talked about how much jealousy is enough jealousy and when is it too much jealousy. You know, so most men, when you're into a woman to a certain degree, you remember we talked about even her just leaving the house dressed a particular, you're like, where are you going like that? It's, you know, that natural jealousy. So for him to have said to her, go off, sleep with other people, it doesn't appear from the email that he has a lot of value for her. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Because a man that values his woman wouldn't want to be his woman sleeping around with other men. So I want to leave it there. But I hope that advice is helpful, Claire, and I wish you all the best of luck in the future. Do drop us another email and just let us know how the conversation went. You know, after you've had the conversation, send us another email. Tell us what did your boyfriend say and how did it go? You know, we'll be more than happy to, you know, add some more value if possible to that dynamics.
Yeah, it's important because what she's saying is that she feels you feel anxious, and to say that you feel anxious about something means that you need to look at it.
Yeah.
You need to have a conversation because we need to feel good, mind, body, and spirit. So the fact that you feel anxious about it, it means there's a concern for you. So definitely, like Ace is saying, have a discussion and find out for yourself how you're really feeling and find out how he's feeling and whether it can work or can't work.
Brilliant. As usual, I just want to say shout out to everybody logged in at home. Yeah, shout out to all our regular viewers. Shout out to all the regulars that put the comments in. Guys, I got a confession to make. After last week's show, I went home, I watched back the show, and I saw the rain of comments that came in, and we wasn't able to read them all of last week's comments out. But I'll be honest with you, the input from you guys at home was so magical that this week I'm actually going to read out, before I start reading out tonight's comments, I can see them coming in already. I'm going to read out some of the comments from last week because some of them were so profound we can't let them slide. So all that and more coming up soon. But as you guys know, tonight's show is all about polyandry. So we've covered polygamy and we've covered polygyny. So tonight's show is all about polyandry. Now I set the girls a challenge, right? I said to the girls in the week, I said, look, you got a week. I said, go away, do your research, you know, jump on the old Google, yeah, do your research. And I want you girls to come back in next week and tell Ace, if any, some practical reasons why polyandry should exist. Nicola Carr, she got a laptop and everything, you know, she come full out of this hand this week, you know. Yeah, she said, not after what happened last week, I'm not having it. Right. So, do you want to do it? Hello, Nick. How you doing, sweetie?
Hey.
Talk to us. Tell us, what have you found out about polyandry?
So, first of all, I went away and I looked into polyandry. I looked into how common it actually is around the world because that was something we weren't sure whether it was still ongoing, whether it was just remote areas. I then looked into practical reasons and practical examples of where it has worked, why it has worked, and why it's still ongoing today. So there's quite a lot of information. I'll try and break it down and keep it simple. So first of all, how common is polyandry? So In 1980, there was a study that was called the Ethnographic Atlas, where they basically recorded all the different types of ethnic societies around the world, right? They recorded a total of 1,231 different societies, 4 of which were polyandrous. 4.
1,000 how many?
1,231 societies.
4 of which is
4
polyandrous.
were polyandrous. And that took into account basically the Himalayan regions, like Tibet and where we were talking about before, right? Then in 2012, another study was done, a survey of non-classical polyandry, i.e. areas outside of that region, and they found an additional 50 societies that were practicing polyandry, right? 2012.
Where were those societies?
Hang on, I've got some. So there are, what they did was they broke it down into different types of polyandry. So you've got polyandry where a woman can marry any number of men, right? Not like different, not related. But then you also have fraternal or Adelphic polyandry, where one woman will marry brothers. So she's married to all of the brothers in one family, right? This takes place in Tibet, parts of China, northern India, Central Africa. They found this occurring. They also had associated polyandry, which is where a woman can have multiple husbands, but those husbands can also have other multiple wives. So many husbands and many wives all in the same family, right? And this takes place in South America. There are tribes in northern Nigeria and northern Cameroon that practice this. So there's different kind of ways that it works. So looking at the practical uses, one of them is population control. Actually, let me break down the fraternal polyandry where they marry brothers, because this is quite distinct to why this happens.
It's funny you said that because I wanted to continue, but I was watching a documentary this week myself because I was just doing a little background, and I found that I was watching an interesting documentary about a woman who was married to 2 brothers, and the whole documentary was breaking down the whole dynamics of the relationship, and they were asking them quite frank questions like, so how does the sex thing work and stuff like that? And it was like the one brother was like, yeah, you know, we take it in turns, you know, she's in my bed tonight, he's in my bed tomorrow, or sometimes we just all have a go together, you know what I mean? But it was quite interesting. So I've actually been studying this all week myself, but carry on. This what the fraternal where a woman marries brothers. It's actually, yeah.
Right. So first of all, one of the things that I think I kind of had to get into my head was that it's in context. Like, it wouldn't necessarily work in today's, like, this part of the world, Western society, but it works in areas where land is a key part of their society. It's a key thing.
And they don't want to split the wealth within the family. You understand? Because if you've got 2 brothers and one brother marries a white woman over there and a man marries a white over there, that the family wealth gets split. But by marrying one woman, those brothers share the wealth. Yeah? That's it. Doesn't make it practical, but we understand why it takes place.
But you know what? It's practical for them, because over here, what we do is obviously, like, if the father or mother or whatever it is dies and they have multiple children, they might leave parts to multiple children, or the eldest child will inherit everything. Because over here, that's what used to happen. The eldest son would have everything, and the other brothers or sisters, they go off and do their own thing and find their own way in life. And so you still have that lineage passed down through the eldest son. So it continues. But in areas of the world where land is the key asset, and there's not a lot of land, splitting it up then makes each separate part invaluable. So it's about keeping the land together because it's not a lot. Do you see what I mean? So in that context, that's why it would work there.
And in that context, what I found through my research is that the older brother, he is the more dominant one. I.e., even though there's like, because it's 2 brothers and they might be married to the same wife, the older brother is still the governor. Sometimes I've seen different studies where sometimes the elder brother has, like, priority, if you like, and the others are all secondary husbands. But sometimes it's just it's just standard. Every brother has an equal.
I saw some documentaries also that said that the woman, what she does is make sure that men have the equal time with her, so that there isn't no friction going on. So whether she married the older brother first.
When did you see them documentaries?
Where did I see
When did you see them?
Last week.
Last week? You sure?
Yeah, during the week.
You watch them? Yeah.
Anyway, so, and also with the land, if there's not enough land in the area, there's not enough land to grow crops and things like that. So that's another reason why they was doing it with the land as well. you can't over farm it because there's not enough of it.
There's not enough of it. Yeah. Also, another thing where this works, and again, it works in context, is in regions where you have this concept of what they call partible paternity. So essentially, obviously, the concern with having many husbands is if you have children, whose child is the child, right?
Yes.
But there are some parts of the world where they believe in partible paternity, which is that any man that has been with that woman in the period up to her becoming pregnant is actually the father. So they believe it's good for a child to have multiple fathers. Any man that has been with that woman in that period of time is a father and contributes to that child's life. And what they found is that this actually improves the child mortality rate. So here I think they were talking about, this is a thing in Amazonian cultures, right? About up to 70% of them believe in the principle of partible paternity. And what they found is that it actually improves the child mortality rate because
the fertility.
Not the fertility. No, not the fertility. The mortality rate. So children can be, however many children are born, some of them will die. But what they found is that the more fathers and men there are in that child's life to provide for the child, to provide nutrition for the child, to protect the child, the better the child's chance of living into adulthood. Do you see what I mean? Otherwise, a child that has less men in its life will die at earlier age, even through being unprotected.
How much more have you got to go through?
There's a few reasons here.
Let me pause you there. You hold that. Let me go into some of the comments from last week. I'm going to start firing like a machine gun now, because shout out to everybody logged on. I can see your comments coming in already, yeah, and I'm going to deal with you. I'm going to read those comments out, but I just want to go back to last week. Shout out to all our regulars. Shout out to Stunt Legacy. Shout out to Cheryl logged on. Big up yourself. So last week's comments, right, guys? Let's go through it. Last week's comments said, first comment from last week from Stunt Legacy. This was like 40 minutes into the end of the show. He said, polyandry, yeah, what utter madness. Right? Let me read another one. It does not work. Another one. Men and women are built differently. Another one. Foolishness. There is no such thing as a alpha woman. Remember last week you talked about alpha women? Yeah, so let's pick up there. One of our guests said there's no such thing as an alpha woman. What's your
Well, there are alpha females. It's not
explain. What's an alpha female?
The alpha female is one that will just with the alpha male rules with the alpha male. So when you have like a tribe of or even if you go back to animals where you got the alpha male from, it really generates from animals, the alpha male. It really does. That's where it comes from.
You're on your own tonight. You have to hold your own. So tell us where these alpha females are.
What do you mean I have to hold my own? I'm speaking. Nobody's got their hand in my mouth and speaking. So where alpha male actually came from. So alpha females is the same as an alpha male. She rules with the alpha male. So she will rule the women. The alpha male rules the men. That's, if you look it up, Google right now.
I don't need to use Google.
Okay. So there is such thing as an alpha female. You can look it up.
Right. So, all right, cool. Right. I actually study a lot of wildlife, right? And in different wildlife, there's different scenarios. But the question is, where is the alpha female? You were referring to the human species. So give us an example of an alpha female in the human species.
An example?
Yeah.
I'm not understanding the question.
All right, we'll move on. No problems. So one of our viewers said there's no such thing as an alpha female, and I would agree with him.
Okay.
And I think
I've got references here to alpha females.
Okay.
I'll read them out.
No, we'll get to that. No,
read them out, Nicola, because
it doesn't
exist, apparently.
No, but you didn't have anything to say. But now what's going to happen? Let me just predict the future. You're going to say something now, and she's going to say, that's what I was trying to say. I
said it exists. Look it up.
Right. So go on. Tell me about this alpha female.
Right. So the alpha female, the concept of the alpha female is where there's actually a matriarchal society. So women dominate. Women control the material resources. Men are not the power species. Women are, and that exists.
Where
is it? In China. So basically, there's a study here about when China started their one-child policy. It was around 1979. What they were looking at was that policy applied to most of the population from the Han ethnic group. However, there were 8% of the people living in that region that were not of that ethnic group, and therefore that didn't apply to them. But those societies were matriarchal in nature.
So where's that alpha female? I get what the person said, why they said there's no such thing as an alpha female. I get that. But it's just no such thing. You're going to have females, but you can't have an alpha female. Do you get what I'm saying? But anyway, we got lots to get through tonight. We got lots to get through. And I'll give you a quick example. And I'll give you an example. That's why I said you're on your own tonight. I'll give you an example because I studied animals. Yeah, when you look at lions, yeah, right. Lions, you have a lion, a male lion that will rule, yeah, a certain amount of female lionesses. Yeah, that's one. Look at wolves. Now, wolves, you have an alpha male wolf and an alpha female wolf. But when you look at, because nature is the best example we can go to understand how things work. An alpha male wolf and an alpha female wolf, they rule together. They're only one alpha, and only that alpha female has kids. So it's not the matriarchal society that you're referring to, because the way it works in nature doesn't work like that. So this is why I say, give me an example. Because you see, just put a word, a label, say alpha this, alpha that, but example, because alpha wolf is specific to way those wolves actually work as a society together, and that ain't common in every single species of animal. But let's move forward, yeah, because we've got some more sweeter stuff to get through. That was just the warm-up stuff, right? Polyandry again. This is another comment. I'm going to give you a chance to comment, and then you a chance. This is last week's comments. The comments are firing in already from this week. Last week, polyandry is backwards feminist minded thinking. The woman's body scientifically is not designed to be with multiple men. Yeah, this is a Western and backwards ideology. Semen lives in the vagina for 7 days. What's your thoughts on that?
When they say Western, do they mean modern? That like, do you know what I mean? Because to say it's a Western philosophy implies it's later. Whereas what I'm actually seeing is that it's more being phased out by Western Western culture and Western practice. I like that, and that's a fair point. But what do you say about this our guest saying, our comment saying, polyandry is backwards, feminist minded thinking? I think why he says feminist is because, do you know the whole, oh well, if a man could do it, a woman could do it. Yeah, but overall, what he's saying is it's a backwards way of thinking, and the woman's body. This is the main thing. It's backwards way of thinking, and the woman's body is not scientifically designed to be with multiple men. What's your thoughts on that? My personal views is I don't agree with polyandry anyway, so that's fine. I agree with that. However, from what I found here, like I said, you have patriarchal societies where polyandry has been used, and in that way, I do think it's a kind of thing where it's kind of been imposed as on the society by the men. It's not coming from the women to say we want to be polyandrous. So to talk about using polyandry in this kind of society to say if men can do it, women can do it, that way I can understand where that's feminist thinking, because there's no need for it in this kind of society. Whereas in those societies, the context is entirely different.
Brilliant. That's intellectual. What's your thoughts on the subject?
It's not supposed to be something that's glamorous. It's not supposed to be something that the women are just saying, oh, we want to just be having more than one husband.
I said it twice. It's not what's your thoughts on the subject. What's your thoughts specifically in relation to this question? Do you think polyandry is backwards feminist minded thinking? Yes or no?
No, I don't think it's backward feminist mind thinking. I think people have used it, just like Nicola has explained.
No. Forget what Nicola says, which only what you say.
You just need to hold on a minute.
We're not doing that.
You need to hold on a minute. As she's explained on why people have been using it, it's not a backward thing.
Listen to me carefully. When we're having a conversation tonight, it's about, when it's your time to speak, it's nothing to do with what Nicola said. It's about you now. I'm saying what she's researched. No. Forget what she's researched, because that's just what you heard 2 minutes ago.
You've asked me a question. That is the answer.
Right. If we do too much of this, I'll move on without you. Hear what I'm saying? Tonight we're having a conversation. Yeah. Listen carefully.
I'm very good with English.
Right.
And my answer to the question.
Can I finish my sentence, please?
Yes, you can.
Right. So tonight we're gonna have a conversation.
Yes.
Right. And we're all gonna discuss. But what we're not gonna do is refer to what each other said. When it's we're going to speak about what we think. It's not, but the article said this, but the article said, we did that last week, we got hang up, yeah? Ace Got Talk, I'm the master of ceremonies, so we're just going to go around and we're going to give, so I'm asking you, and you already answered it.
Okay, good.
You said yes, no, you said no. So that was your answer. I'm asking you, we're reading the comments, and it's for you to say what you think, not referring to what Nicola's, the article you just heard, because you didn't know about that before. What do you think from your? So our comments from one of our guests says, polyandry is backwards feminist mind thinking. The woman's body specifically is not designed to be with multiple men. Now, I want to know, what do you think about this comment? The woman's body is not specifically designed to be with multiple men.
What I specifically think about that comment is I don't think it's a feminist thing. I think it is used in areas that it is needed. That's my answer.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So we're gonna just blast through these because we've got a lot of comments to get through. Another comment from another one of our viewers last week. Polyandry is unworkable. Another comment. Polyandry didn't start for sexual gratification. It was due to circumstances and apparently started okay, like I said, if common sense does not tell a woman that polyandry is against her natural femininity, then just simply ask biology. It explains clearly the purpose and different capabilities of men and women. So I want to shout out to all the comments that came in last week, because I thought it was so many beautiful comments that came in. I've got another page of comments I'm just going to read through quickly, and then I think we'll have a video. Hey, should we have a video? Well, I've got one more page of comments, and like I said, guys, keep your comments coming. I'm going to get to tonight's comments. A couple of more comments. Which real man is going to openly share a woman for population control? It don't make sense, sister. Right? I hate another comment. I hate that argument. Yeah, if a man can do it, a woman can. Men and women are not the same. There are no practical reasons for a woman to marry multiple husbands. Remember, last week the question was, is it practical? We're exploring why people do it, and we're able to, as intellectuals, have understanding, but it doesn't necessarily make it practical. You might argue practicality from a materialistic point of view. Ace Got Talk, I'm arguing practicality from a spiritual point of view. Ace Got Talk, I'm arguing practicality from a physical point of view, right? A biological point of view, right? A few more comments, and then we'll get the first video up. A woman can lose her ability to pair bond if she embarks on a polyandrous extravaganza. It's non-workable. There is a very distinct separation of roles, characteristics between the genders. One more. Polyandry is a poor excuse for depopulation. Surely there are other forms of to achieve it. Because remember, last week I think you guys were hanged on the depopulation thing. But yeah, I think that was brilliant. Thanks for all the comments coming in. This is a live interactive show, and we dare, you know, to go to dig deep on the topics where other people might not necessarily go there. So yeah, this is what it's all about. It's about open dialogue and, you know, just really exploring each other's thought processes. So as usual, you've been out on the street this week with your camera, with your GoPro, you know, speaking to our members of the public and asking them their opinions. Let's see what
this is from last week, these clips.
Yeah, let's see what members of the public had to say on the subject, shall we?
Hello, Margarita. Thank you for answering some questions for the Love Zone. Now, our question is, or the topic today, is about polygamy. What's your views on polygamy?
Well, I think if people can live together from, you know, the same gender or different genders, why not? You know, this is what I think. We put so much stress and so much pressure on ourselves to fit into certain things. But if you feel it from your heart that you can do it, do it. I mean, what is it? It's a choice. It's what you feel in your heart is the most important thing. As I said, there are so many obstacles to who we can be, who we cannot be. But I'm saying, if you find polygamy is something that suits you, go right ahead. I mean, now we have all the gay and lesbians coming out. You know, it was difficult in the beginning, but I'm sure if we drop that polygamy in the ocean, the ripples will go. There are so many people who will be able to share their lives together, and we have to look at it. You know, we go back to the days when we saw the tribal of, you know, men and women, especially from Africa. You see, like how many women one man has, and all blend together, doing all these different chores, helping each other, and they're happy. This is what it's all about in this world, the unity. Together as one, we can really make a difference in this world. And you know what would be so fantastic? Is that this would be like a role model to show others, especially the future generation. That's where my heart goes for. The future generation, let's plant some seeds and let them see that they can really make a beautiful life and having this war against this and this one not saying this. And like, polygamy, I think, it could be something that can really manifest into the reality of the world.
And if with polygamy, in a lot of polygamy relationships, it's usually the man that has, more than one spouse. Do you think that if the man can have more than one spouse, the woman should also be able to have more than one spouse?
Oh, definitely. Why not? I mean, what's the sense of he has all the apples and I'm just having one? Oh my gosh. This is what, we've been fighting this gender thing for many years, that the man is this and man. No, as I said, there's a reason why a man and woman is in this world. There is certain things a man can do, certain things a woman can do. We are there to blend and support and help each other. So why not the woman can have the same way? So if men can understand that and women can understand, man, oh man, what a beautiful world this will be. People will go down smiling on the street, laughing, and such a great feeling. You ever look at Mamma Mia? I love that show because to see all these people from all different ways and how they just get along with each other, singing, dancing, helping. Come on, let's be one. Let's have fun. So that's how I see it.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Margarita. Thank you for being on the Love Zone.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you very much.
What's your opinions on that? Thanks to the last video that got sent in there. Lord have mercy. What's your thoughts there, Nicola?
Personally?
Yeah, personally. Go for it.
No.
Yeah. I agree.
No.
Yeah. I think that particular viewer, maybe she didn't understand the question. But it's a little bit like I'm not gonna stress over stress the topic, but I think I made my position very clear that it's not a case of being judgmental. It's a case of looking at things with an intellectual perspective and saying, it's not every single scenario you can just go into and say, well, if a man can do it, a woman can do it. And if you start to look at things logically, practically, spiritually, physically, biologically, there's all of these scientifically, there's all of these reasons why you could actually say, that doesn't really work. And I think personally, the conclusion, and I say the conclusion, i.e. the overall majority of our viewers and their comments would agree with the position that it's not practical. What's your thoughts, Lee?
Well, she was talking about polygamy, full stop. So are you saying that polygamy is not practical, just a polyandry?
I just said the overall view from our comments, from our listeners, is that polyandry.
A polyandry you're talking about.
Is not practical. What's your thoughts?
As I said, it's practical where they use it for practical reasons.
Okay, fair enough. So I'm going to read out some of the comments from tonight's, guys. So just go backtrack. So some of this is from what you were saying earlier. I saw them coming in.
And thank you, Margarita, for the lovely video clip. Thank you for sending that in.
Polyandry is foolish. Yeah. You can't have two rulers. Lions and lionesses. Someone said you're misinformed and that your information, I'm just going to read the comments out. I'm just reading out what's on the screen. They said your information sounds like it was written by a gay man. Yeah. 8%.
What information? Sorry. What are they referring
the number she's reading out.
Oh,
yeah. 8%. The exception does not make the rule.
What do you mean 8%? Oh,
yeah.
As in the 8% of. Oh, hang on. Where did that come from? Oh, the 8% of Chinese societies that. Oh, I know that, but I was just the actual study. What it was about was that they were worried that those societies that did not come under the one-child policy would counteract what they were trying to achieve, because they were trying to achieve obviously a decreased population, and they worried that these societies that had this, polyandry, would counteract that and therefore diminish the results. And what they actually, so they started exploring the different societies and the different setups within those that 8%. What they found was that actually it didn't. It helped. There was a reduction in childbirth rates in those societies, and especially more so in the matriarchal polyandry societies than the patriarchal, and I can't say too many words, patriarchal polyandry societies. The matriarchal ones actually had less childbirth rates than the patriarchal. So what they thought was going to happen wasn't what they found.
Should we have our next video? And then the time is...
Thank you for being part of the Love Zone. So I want to ask you, what's your thoughts on polygamy?
Personally, well, I myself am bi, so I guess it's in a sense kind of a relationship made in heaven, because I don't have to pick one or the other. I can have my cake and eat it.
Ah, so you mean like you'd have one of each?
At least, yeah.
Okay, it's interesting. And well, this is just going to be maybe a mute question, because I was going to say, if a man can have more than one spouse and be a polygamist, do you think it's fair for the woman to do that too?
Yeah, I do.
Excellent.
I feel like she deserves to be just as happy as a man does.
Brilliant. Thank you for being part of the Love Zone.
Thank you for having me.
That was interesting, because that viewer started off by saying that she's bisexual. So therefore, she doesn't really have a problem swinging both ways. What's your thoughts on that?
On swinging both ways, or what's the question?
What's your thoughts in relation to the video?
Well, thank you for sending your being part of the Love Zone and sending your video in. I think she's entitled to her point of view. She's entitled to what she thinks. What's your thoughts?
Over to you, Nicola.
Well, she's obviously looking at the situation from a point of view of happiness and relational satisfaction, if you like, not necessarily looking at it from any kind of practical aspect, which is what we're doing, right? And that's, I think at the beginning of last week, I kind of said that if your view of marriage is one of emotion, love, and that's the reason you're marrying, then it changes the whole, it skews the whole thing. Do you see what I mean? Rather than what is practical. That's two different questions. Definitely. And that's why I think what she's saying doesn't necessarily touch on what we're talking about.
Definitely.
Because she's approaching it from her personal happiness, and that's, that is what it is. You can't really argue with someone's personal happiness. That's her perspective.
Definitely. I think when we talk about sexual gratification, where do you draw the line? Because it's easy to say, well, if this person's happy, but then we can quickly start dwelling into, well, what's happening now? You've got people having sex with animals, and the list just goes on. I don't even want to get any more graphic, but this whole thing about, well, as long as the person's happy, it can cross over into all manner of crimes. Am I making myself clear?
Yeah.
We have the next video, please. You need to change your energy so people can pick up on the TV.
Ace Got Talk, the Love Zone. So I'm here with a fella called Simon. And this week, the question that we're asking is, should you take back your ex-partner?
No.
No. And why is that, sir?
In my experience, what's the phrase? A leopard don't change its spots.
A leopard don't change its spots. I like that. So you're a man. You say once you look forward, you never look back.
Yeah, I can forgive, but I don't forget. So yeah, that's how I move past. Of course, to be friendly with people, be civil, absolutely. But yeah, don't make the same mistake twice.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for that, sir. Cheers.
Absolutely fantastic. Shout out to the last video there. So next week's show, we are going to be talking about, we're moving into, should you take your ex-partner back? So it's just a little taster there, from one of our guests. So he says, hell no. All right. And guys, as usual, we want to hear from you at home. What are your thoughts on the subject? Would you take your ex-partner back? Yeah. Drop us an email. The email address is
ask us at the-lovezone.co.uk.
Brilliant. So next week, the topic of the show is, should you get back with your ex-partner? So we want to be hearing from you guys. So what's your thoughts? I know you're settled in a relationship, but what's your thoughts on the whole?
It depends on what caused you to separate from that ex-partner in the first place. Sometimes ex is an ex for a reason. And if that reason still exists, no amount of sentimentality should make you forget what went wrong the first time. And then take them back. So situations can change, people can change, but don't forget why they're an ex.
So you saying that a leopard can't change its spots?
No, I'm not. I'm saying a leopard can change its spots, but sometimes people, and a period of time moving past does not necessarily mean that a person has changed their spot. So, for example, you can break up with someone, bump into them 10 years later, and that same energy, that same spark that attracted you to them the first time is still there. However, there was a reason why that relationship broke down in the first place. And you need to remember that when you start falling in love with the person again or thinking, oh, this could work again. Remember what the reason was for the breakdown. And if that reason hasn't been fixed or that trait is still in that person, understand that you will end up back in the same place, or it's likely you could end up back in the same place. So people can change, but make sure the person has actually changed. And it's not just the same old spark that is bringing you back together.
But wouldn't you say that type of mindset is also the reason for a lot of people not getting back together and a lot of people not giving things a second chance because they're stuck in that particular mindset and that particular memory, and they can't let it go? Because I think what you're saying, I get it, but I think that can also be dangerous, very dangerous. And I'll tell you why. The way the brain is hardwired a particular way, and when a thought is planted in the mind, anybody's mind, that thought stays there until it's replaced with another thought. So if the last time you saw me, your experience with me was bad, it doesn't matter when you see me, 2 years later, 3 years later, 5 years later, your brain will always remember that experience. Unless I have an opportunity to take you out, spend some time with you, do something nice, and replace that thought with a positive one, you're always going to remember that negative experience. And that's why I get what you're saying, but that can be very dangerous at the same time.
But what I'm saying is, I'm not saying don't let the person have a chance to show that they've changed. But in terms of a relationship, unless I see, like you say, unless they replace that negative with a positive, and I see that relationship is not going to carry on.
I think it sounds like it's about growth, because it could be growth in yourself.
Yeah.
Because it could be you're broke up for a certain situation. You've actually grown to a different place, so that if you were to be with that person, you may be able to manage that situation differently. But you're quite right. Understanding what the issues were, why the relationship broke up in the first place, needs to be acknowledged, but depending on where, from what it sounds like you're saying, Ace, is where you've grown to, because it might be a case of you've grown to a place where you can actually accept that person and understand them better, and so therefore you could try again. So it's all about knowing yourself, knowing your mindset, knowing that person as well, because it could very well work in work in a new relationship with them, depending on where you are in yourself as well.
Yeah. I think both parties, because in my head, I'm approaching it from the perspective of they've done something and there's a reason why it ended. Do you see what I mean? But if it's not necessarily they've done something, it could be you've done something, but both parties need to understand what went wrong the first time.
Yes.
And assess now, you being you and me being me, is that likely to reoccur? Do you see what I mean? Are the same problems still there? That's what I'm trying to get
But
to.
it could even be that person has done something to you. It could be that. But it could be where you were at that time, how that thing affected you. And have you grown past there? Because it could be something, no, I'm not accepting that, but you actually get to understand a different way of thinking about things. And therefore you think, okay, I understand where that person was coming from. I understand this. So you grow from that.
I think in our community, and it's not what I think, the numbers say it anyway, we have a lot of relationship breakdowns, fact. We have a lot of teenage pregnancy, fact. And we have a lot of mature women going through divorce. Just yesterday, I was talking to a bunch of ladies and they were all 50 plus and they'd all been divorced, some of them, most of them twice. So hear me, I'm sitting around a bunch of women and we're having a conversation about relationships. In fact, the conversation was, should you take back your ex? Because I kind of warmed up, and I always have little coffee groups where we discuss these things. So I imagine, and I've noticed this is a common denominator. I don't know about anywhere else in the world, but I can tell you about in the UK. In the UK, I know so many women, 50s plus, in our community that are divorced. Now, the question I often ask myself is this: why? And I asked the girls last night, why? Most of them have been through 2 or 3 husbands. Now, what I'm saying is I believe there's a lot of things we just don't deal with. Do you understand where I'm going with this? We don't deal with it. So because it's never been dealt with, you carry that into the next relationship. And you carry that into the next relationship. You know, and this is what I said about thoughts and replacing those thoughts with different thoughts. Because if you've still got a certain mindset, you think that because you feel like that towards that person, that's not going to affect your next relationship. Of course it is. And the one after that, because you've carried that baggage. Do you understand what I'm saying? And this is it's got talk. Work me, I work, and a chicken me, I jerk. So this is why this is healing. Like, because I've done shows where I've done a show on absent fathers, bitter women. Absent fathers, bitter women. And I've touched on some of these things. And I've had women phone me up from Jamaica, and say, Ace, you see what you just said on your show? That applies to me. I'm one of those bitter women you're talking about. And you know what? You're right. I need to deal with the father of my child better, because that bitterness that I'm carrying for him is affecting even the relationship he can have with his child. So I don't come up here and make flippant remarks or just talk for talking's sake. Yeah. There's a method to my madness, but there's healing. So when we talk about the relationships, and I made that very profound point about thoughts in our minds, this is it's deeper than just what's the reason that you split up with him. So we plant thoughts, and those thoughts stay with us. And how many people can even relate to growing up in households where our parent often spoke badly of the other parent? You're too whatless. You're just like your father. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's an effect that these things have on us. Right, we're as usual, swiftly running out of time. Can we get another video?
Okay, I'm here at Aura Organics, beautiful organic health spa shop.
Spa and Wellness Centre, yes.
Brilliant.
In Hackney Wick, come see us.
Thank you, Lola. It's going to be part of our Love Zone show. And I'm just going to ask you a couple of questions, Lola. The first question is, is it ever a time that you can go back to an ex-partner? Is it ever a good idea?
So my initial reaction to that is no, he's an ex for a reason, right? That's what most people are going to say. However, I think if you're asking yourself that question, for a reason. So you have to figure out what that reason is. And I'm a sucker for a love story. So I think if there's something still there and you have changed as people, maybe you've grown a bit in yourselves and there's a chance, then maybe it's worth trying. Okay. Unless, it's been if there's been something very bad, there's any kind of abuse there, that kind of thing, you need to never go back. But possibly. If you feel love, then yeah.
And have you ever gone back to an ex-partner?
No.
But it's something you wouldn't rule out?
Yes. Yeah. In future, I don't know.
Excellent. Well, thank you for being part of the Love Zone.
Okay, thank you.
Well, that was very professional.
Is that enough?
All right. Thank you very much, young lady, for your comments on ex-partners. Shout out to, once again, everyone that's coming in on the comments. Your comments are always live interactive show, and we love to hear from you guys, our viewers. I want a big shout out to Cameo. Cameo says, the lady with the laptop. That's our Nicola, right? Nicola Carter says, the lady with the laptop should share with the viewers what makes a relationship work. I believe she is happily married.
Yes.
So I think that's a really nice way to end the show. It's got talk. We talked about polygamy. We talked about polyandry. You know, about spiritual business we are dealing with, you know, judge us work. So yeah, for real. I think, young lady, you've been happily married.
Yeah.
You know, and I know the last time, or a few weeks ago on our show, I thought, and I still think about it all the time, you shared such a profound story with us about how you and your partner was in a sexual relationship, and you even decided to wait for each other before you got married, which I thought was just so dignified. But I can see why that could even just strengthen the bonds and the glue between you two, you know, because you was like, well, if you love me, you're wet for me. So, but yeah, share with our views, because I'm interested to know. I think we all are. You know what I mean? What makes a happy relationship?
A happy relationship, and this is obviously a very personal view, right? A happy relationship has to have trust. There has to be respect. More than, not even more than trust, but there has to be respect, because sometimes even the way you speak to each other can be disrespectful, and there doesn't have to be anything big that happens, but that disrespect, even when you're angry or upset, can just chip away at another person.
Definitely.
You've got to love that person's soul and being and protect it even when you're angry.
Definitely.
As much as you protect your own self or your own child.
Definitely. Brilliant.
You wouldn't say things that's going to chip away at your child's self-esteem. So don't say it to your partner. That
Brilliant.
person is you.
Brilliant.
You are them.
Brilliant.
You're one.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
That's you know, that's something, and make time to talk.
Definitely.
And make time to laugh, and just make time to understand each other as people, not as man and wife and boyfriend and girlfriend. It's all love and sex, and that's just as people, like each other.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
And then understand that there's no backing out, because when you have that view, there's no backing out. We are in this. It makes both of you make it work. Whereas normally you think, okay, I'm going to walk that way, I'm going to walk that way.
Yeah.
When you know there is no escape,
Yeah.
we got to make this work. You both then come together. Even after you calm down, sometimes you come back together and you talk it out. And yeah,
I love that. I absolutely love that. I mean, for me, the key thing that I picked out of everything you said, and this is just, once again, what is personal for me, is respect. And I'll tell you why. It was one of my ex-girlfriends that taught me this, actually, funny enough, each one. People always about trust in a relationship. Oh, you got to have trust. I want to trust you. I want to trust you. But what you said about respect is key, because I used to be a bit of a lad back in the days, you know what I mean? A bit of a lad. And my ex, I remember her saying to me, do you know why you used to be a bit of a lad, eh? And I was like, why? She goes, because the woman you was with, you never respected her. And it's the first time I looked at it like that. But then I actually realized that you're right, because when you're with somebody and you respect that person, you wouldn't want to do anything to lose that person's respect. Do you understand where I'm coming from? So I think respect in a relationship is very, very key. What's your thoughts?
I love your explanation. I am a big one for respect. Respecting yourself and respecting your partner.
Have you got anything else? Any other? I did do covered respect. Got anything else? We'll cover?
I'm giving you my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah. Respecting yourself and what you allow to happen to you. Yeah. And then respecting that person, like you're saying, it's that you know, don't want nothing to damage you. So respect is a big one for me. I think it's important that we respect ourselves enough, and then we respect the world.
Right. So I'm going to read out, we've got a couple more minutes left, about 3 minutes left, and I'm going to read out a controversial comment here. So this gentleman says, I've given up on a Western black woman. Too much confusion. All right. What's your thoughts on that? He says, they are the most lost women today. Other women are laughing at black women right now. What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's sad that he thinks that. I think it's sad that he thinks that black women are lost.
Can you comprehend why he might have that view?
Without him explaining more, it would be nice to hear more why he believes that.
So Matt, if you could give us some more feedback on why you have given up on black women and why you think they're lost. But generally speaking, I think there is a large percentage of men that might, I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, but I can understand why they might have that particular view.
Expand.
What's your thoughts?
My thoughts are, well, obviously, I know plenty of black women who are not lost or confused, but I understand what he's talking about.
You do.
At the same time, I understand what he's talking about, but also there are plenty of women who are not that way. However, sometimes people get confused in terms of what they're looking for and what they want. Does that make sense? Like, some men look for women in the wrong places, not understanding that the women they actually want will not be found in the places that they're looking. Therefore, they come across repeatedly the wrong types of people and form an assumption that all the women are like that, when sometimes it's not all of the women like that. It's just you're looking in the wrong place for what it is you actually want.
So where would you suggest they start looking?
Like I said, I need to know the more ins and outs of the person and what they are already doing and how they're already coming across these women.
I'm still not understanding the lost.
Yeah.
Looking in the wrong place, but what's the lost?
Right, and I mean, this is a subject that we are going to dig. We're going to do a whole show on this, because me and my co-host was talking about this earlier. There was we grabbed down to the last minute as usual, but 2 weeks ago, not last week's show, the week before, right at the end, shout out to Jassan. Jassan put a comment in and said that the black woman has been unapologetically unanswerable to nobody for the last 40 years. And I asked you to read that comment out, and you agreed. You said, yeah, that's right. You owned it. Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
Right. So, and we spoke about this today.
Yeah, we spoke about it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we need to do a whole show, because there is a large percentage of a large percentage of black men in the UK that feel exactly like this commenter. So we have to start to think, why do so many black men feel that our sisters are a lost cause and they are hard work, right? We really need to dig down into these things and look at, because and we will do. So we're going to pick this up. Next week's show is should you
go back to your ex? And then after that, the week after that, you know, we're going to start digging a bit deeper onto some of these issues that affect the black community. Until then, guys, once again, I just want to thank Nicola Carr. You've been an amazing guest. God bless you. Thanks for being with us. And guys, always stay blessed, and we'll see you next week, same time, 8 p.m, MediaNet Live TV. Salute.